Hey, what's up, guys? This is MugenLord here, and today we're going to talk about Bungie because, oh boy, it appears that Bungie's it's in trouble right now. It's not looking good for them, especially after the massive layoff that they had to, unfortunately, announce for the company. And things haven't been looking good ever since Sony has acquired them, and some people saying that the writing is on the wall for them. So what's going on right now? Well, apparently, it appears that Bungie, the creators, have pretty much blaming the massive layoffs because of the economy. But we also have fans saying, no, hell with that. You know, they point out the years of virtue signaling and a lot of the things that's been going on in the culture war that Bungie has been, standing behind. And this is the reason for their downfall. So I'm definitely giving my thoughts and opinions. Does, them participating in wokeness have destroyed the company, or is there something else going on as far as management, or is there a mixture of both wokeness and just management and how they're handling their studio has caused the downfall of their company? So before we even dive into the videos, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. So let's dive right into it. So bound in the comics, it says Destiny creator Bungie blames mass layoff on tough economy, but fans cry foul, point to years of virtue signaling. So this morning, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons announced significant changes for the company development studio. The top of those chances will be an almost 20% reduction of their workforce through layoffs. Parsons is blaming rising development costs, industry shifts, and enduring economic conditions. Now, for starters, when we talk about the development costs is getting ridiculous for gaming. And we've been seeing it. We talked about it before, where Spider-Man from Insomniac Games cost them nearly almost like $200 million to even develop. That's cost as much as a Disney MCU movie, which is getting ridiculous. But can we also blame the cost of development when you still have studios like Nintendo they're just developing and just putting out hits after hits, and they've been profiting off a lot of their games that they've been releasing? So there's still studios out there that's not experiencing with what a lot of these studios are experiencing. So is there a management issue rather than a development issue as far as cost is concerned? So we'll continue. So is it because of this, Bungie will reinforce or refocus its development efforts entirely on its flagship franchises such as Destiny and Marathon? Yeah, at this point, Bungie should just be a company that just focus on Destiny. It should be just a live service company that just focus on that. Keep just dropping sequels of Destiny at this point, since that's the only thing that's making them money. Now, as far as Marathon is concerned, we really still have no idea how Marathon is going to look or play. We've seen like a teaser of it and everything, but we haven't even seen the gameplay of it. So for them to say that Marathon should be something that they should put a lot of emphasis on, we'll have to wait and see. But Destiny is something that they should definitely focus on, because that's the only thing they've been successful at. So stick to what you're good at. So this says, as we continue, it says impact on workforce. Starting today, 220 roles will be eliminated. Damn. The mass layoff represents about roughly 17% of Bungie's workforce. This will impact all levels of the company, including executive and senior leadership positions. Parsons acknowledged the difficulty of this decision and expressed gratitude for the contribution of all departing colleagues. This will be a challenging time at Bungie, and we'll need to help our team navigate these changes in the weeks and months ahead, Parsons says. Now, the strategic changes. In addition to workforce reductions, Bungie is implementing two major strategic changes. First, the studio will deepen its integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment. So yes, so apparently Bungie is just fucking up so bad, because the agreement was if Sony was to acquire them, Bungie accepted the agreement as long as they're able to be independent. Bungie already went through the whole thing with Activision Blizzard, and they left Activision Blizzard so they could be able to have that freedom to be able to create the type of content and quality gaming experience that they wanted to be able to create. They wanted that freedom. They didn't want to have an overseer over top of them breathing down their neck. So apparently, since this Destiny and I guess you would say Bungie's been fucking up, now Sony has the right to be able to step in and start absorbing Bungie. And this is what we've been seeing. And the sad part about it is we've been seeing Microsoft been acquiring these big ass studios, and then they've been dissolving these studios. And apparently Bungie could be going down the same path, the same road, where Sony acquired the studio and now eventually going to become swallowed or dissolved by Sony themselves, and Bungie will be no more. And this is something that Bungie wanted to get away from, but because they've been fucking up, Sony now has the power and the right to be able to come in to do as they please. So over the next few quarters, 155 roles, or roughly 12% of Bungie's workforce, will transition to Sony Interactive Entertainment. This move is aimed at preserving the talent that would otherwise be lost due to the layoffs. Second, Bungie would collaborate with Sony Studios leadership to spin out one of its incubation projects, an action game set in a new science fantasy universe. This project will form a new studio within PlayStation Studios, allowing it to continue its development independently. And we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Reasons behind the restructuring, Parsons detailed the factors leading to his decision. Over the past 5 years, Bungie aimed to develop 3 enduring global franchises. This ambition led to the creation of several incubation projects, stretching the studio's talent and resources thin. The rapid expansion in 2023 coincided with a broad economic slowdown and a downturn in the gaming industry. And as I said before, despite how the economy is, there's still studios out there that's doing pretty damn good. So compounding these challenges were issues with Destiny 2, Lightfall, and the need to ensure high quality for both the Final Shape and Marathon. And that's the thing. When you are making all these different studios or these different projects, and you taking the best talent and you putting on other projects, that other project that's been doing fairly well is going to start seeing a downward trotting trend of quality start to plummet. It's because you took most of your talent and start putting in other projects. So they spread themselves thin instead of just focusing on the project that they had. So we were overly ambitious. Yes, the fuck you were. And our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, Parsons stated. The studio's financial challenges necessitated a change in course despite exhaustive efforts to avoid layoffs. Then it says reaction online. Reactions online were swift and pointed to multiple instances of hypocrisy by the studio and its CEO. In one instance, ex-users manga lawyer pointed out how the studio spent better part of the 2 years virtual signaling instead of working on their own products. So learning the law, Bungie spent 2 years virtual signaling about everything except video games. During this time, their developers aggressively attack gamers and become obsessed with pronouns and claims of justice, often targeting white males. 2 years later, the company fired 200 people. Now, yes, this is the thing. Them virtual signaling versus them taking their studio and spreading it thin has much more damage. Now, virtual signaling does, and I keep saying this, and this is what I want to keep talking about here when it comes to culture war. See, a lot of people think that going woke, going broke is the main thing that destroys a company. No, that's just one part of this. And you also got to remember, if a company makes a shitty product is going to be a shitty product, whether it is woke or not. And them virtual signaling, which is like the welcome to Pride at Bungie, and them attacking gamers who are fighting back at this had just scratched it. I doubt that this virtual signaling was the biggest thing that had hurt the company. I doubt it. Now, virtual signaling did hurt them, but when you look at everything, look at all the factors that have went into this, a lot of it had to do with them spreading themselves thin. A lot of this had to do with that. Them taking their businesses, taking their studios, trying to find some, especially with Sony. Sony had bought Bungie for the fact is that they want to create more live services. And what we learned about live services are becoming oversaturated. And everybody's trying to recapture what Bungie has done with Destiny. And because they saw Destiny being the success that it is, everybody's trying to capture that lightning in a bottle. And now that Sony had jumped into the picture, Sony and Bungie, especially Bungie, are being overly ambitious, trying to create these big ass gaming experiences and stretching themselves thin by taking out so much of their talent to create other new projects. And now you have a decline in their product. So I hardly doubt that their virtual signaling had put a dent into what they're experiencing right now. Yes, it did hurt them in some point, but it did not put a dent into what's going on behind closed doors. And like I said, most of it has a lot to do with inflated budgets and everything. So it said, but MugenLord lawyer was not done quite yet. They zeroed in the CEO, Pete Parson himself, and the virtual signaling found in his X account. MugenLord said in part, "This is what happens when you prioritize sending the message over quality. Bungie, the communist LGBT symbols, the audacity of promoting be kind while firing 25% of the workforce, catering to the same type of people will eventually eat you alive. This is what happens when you prioritize sending the message over quality. It's beautiful to watch." Yes, as I said before, this is only part of the problem. And like I said, majority of the problem is mismanagement, and also majority of the biggest problem is also spreading themselves thin. And this is what happened. While virtual signaling on top of that. So, but it wasn't just MugenLord. It seemed that Parsons is getting it from all sides. Roasted the CEO and studio leadership for what saw as reckless behavior behind the scenes that cost the developers their job. Like many online, this user called leadership change within the studio. Leadership needs to be changed. Their decisions have consistently led to disasters for everyone who has actually been making games we played. They've been reckless with the studio, its employees, and its franchise. The problem is clear: bad leadership. For over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambitions, we set up several incubation projects, each seeded their senior development leaders from our existing teams. Yes, this has more to do, and I keep saying this, it's more so about the leadership. It has more to do with them being careless and reckless by, like I said, taking and biting more than what they can choose, rather than being, woke. Being woke had a part of it, but it's more so they're restructuring and stretching the company thin. It had more to do with that than them virtual signaling. Virtual signaling hurt them, but it had less to do with that and more to do with this. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could realistically support, giving our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry. Our quality missed the Destiny 2 Lightfall and the need to give both the Final Shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects delivered at quality our players expect and deserve. We were overly ambitious. Our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we begun running in the red. Yes, that's what this is more so that hurt them. And the stories are continuing to pour out about Parsons' treatment of employees in the past. Liana Rupert, community manager for Fallout and Amazon Prime, had some choices of word as well. Liana provided a story where they were speaking with co-workers who couldn't afford to pay for their groceries that week. When they were discussing their food affordability issues, apparently Parsons came up to brag about new cars he had bought. They went to blame elements of leadership within the studio for poor treatment of the departments such as quality and insurance and others. Yes, as I said before, this is a much bigger picture than just the culture war itself. Is these studios mismanaging money, these studios are being greedy, and these studios are being overly ambitious. Especially, like I said, the pandemic had a lot to do with this as well. You have to remember, during the pandemic, gamers were in the house. The gaming industry has experienced a boom as far as profits are concerned, and companies like Bungie was experiencing a rapid growth, and they took advantage of that by trying to expand as fast as they possibly could into pretty much the lockdowns were over. And they didn't experience that. They didn't think or took into account that these lockdowns were going to be as fast. It was going to end as fast as they thought it was going to end. And then, of course, they was not factoring in Bidenomics that pretty much fucked the economy over. So that has a lot to do and a lot to play at hand. And while Bungie is experiencing what they're experiencing, rather than them doing a lot of them doing the virtual signaling or whatever like that. The virtual signaling played a part, but at the same time, it wasn't the thing that really hurt Bungie. What really hurt Bungie is bad management, and bad leadership altogether. So others such as Legacy, Helia HD saw the bigger picture. On X, they pulled up numbers for the game industry related layoffs, and numbers are quite staggering. In the last 18 months, the industry has seen over 20,000 jobs lost. This, of course, included giants such as Ubisoft, EA, Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, Epic Games, and other well-known studios. It says, and all those come with a greater focus on developers online actively. We showed a greater focus on DEI content programming within games instead of focusing on the content for players. What now? As we can see, reactions online are quite hot as many are pointing fingers at Pete Parsons and the leadership at Bungie. Many are speculating about the future of Bungie. Some see the studio as slowly being folded into PlayStation, which I believe is going to happen. While others are wondering out loud if DEI talking points are just smokescreen for other issues within the studios. Yes, it's just smokescreens. I'm telling you this right now. Either way, this is a difficult middle of the week for over 200 former employees. Yes, and this was going on right now at Bungie. And what's going on, and it's going on with a lot of studios. A lot of these studios are doing a lot of layoffs because of, one, these inflated budgets that they have been putting into these games. And as I said before, the pandemic had really have gave these studios in the game industry a false sense of security. A lot of them believe that this pandemic, since we've been in the pandemic for what? We was in the pandemic for what, 2, maybe 3 years? It gave them a false sense of security. They saw profits at record high numbers at the beginning of the pandemic, since everybody was in the house consuming video games and live streaming, which is why the streaming platforms have been hit really hard as well. And they saw this, they pretty much got high off of it. They thought that, hey, this is going to last forever. Seen the profits, then they start expanding their company based on the projections of the lockdowns. And now that the lockdowns are over, and now that the economy's fucked up, thanks to Bidenomics and everything, a lot of these studios that had the money, to be able to expand, now the money's starting to run dry. And it has really more or less to do with a lot of the virtual signaling. The virtual signaling did, help drag it down even more, but it was less to do with that and more with the management of money. They overshot themselves when it came to all this. And now Bungie is suffering the consequences because of the projects they had pretty much took a lot of their talent and moved them to other projects when it started hurting their bottom line, which was Bungie. And now they're trying to get Marathon up and running to coexist with Bungie. And now they have to do a lot of shifting and a lot of restructuring within the company itself. So what are your thoughts on this? I definitely want to hear your thoughts when it comes to this. Do you think that Go Woke, Go Broke played a major part in this, or did you think it just played a part in what was already a disaster going on behind the scenes to begin with? So I definitely want to hear your thoughts. Do you think there's a point of recovery for Bungie and many other studios within the gaming industry, or do you think it's about time for a reset? So definitely want to hear your thoughts. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.